those receivers.
Receivers. I don't think we're going to we're probably not going to do 1 through 10 just because there's a lot of...
Hey, why not?
Well,
We got time.
There's a lot of receivers.
What do you got going on tonight? We got time.
That is true.
All right. Fine. Number 1, I think probably easy choice, Antonio Brown. As I mentioned previously.
Especially in PPR too. That's like...
Yeah, PPR. He could get 10 catches a game, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I was saying, Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's primed for a really good season, as is a lot of other people on Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown being the best offensive weapons that they have. Kind of a no-brainer. There's enough talent around him where people can't scheme particularly against him all the time. So he's going to be able to be open even if you think that people are going to game plan against him. Any other thoughts? I mean, that pretty much covers the bases.
It's just weird not seeing Calvin as number 1. Isn't it just weird?
No.
Don't you find that weird?
No, because
I find it weird.
It's so strange.
After last year,
Calvin's always the number 1 for the last 4 or 5 years. He's always the number 1 receiver.
Yeah, but the thing
you
you have
to see him so low.
We'll talk about
crazy.
That later too.
Well, he's nobody in football, in fantasy, has ever really been a perennial number 1 wide receiver. Calvin was, I think, the first one to be there in the consensus rankings for more than 2 years in a row. He's getting older. Matt Stafford has peaked, I think. I don't know if he's going to do much better than he has.
What's funny was that he was a guaranteed first round pick. Now he's
he'll probably drop to the second.
That's so
mid to late second.
I'm taking him. I don't know.
I am not saying Calvin Johnson's bad by any stretch. But then we jump down to number 2. I don't. Demaryius Thomas. I don't.
Just too crowded in that receiving core.
Yeah.
Well, you got Sanders there, but you do have Peyton, who there's enough.
Well, and Demaryius averaged, I think, close to 100 yards a game last year. He's gonna get his touches. They lost Julius Thomas.
That is true. That's
so
a great point.
He might get a few more red zone looks, but I have this bad. I mean, this is just entirely
take the risk with Peyton. If Peyton goes down,
I just have a bad feeling about Peyton. And a lot of people say that every year, but just seeing his regression last year at the end of the season, it wasn't there really, but it was. If you looked hard enough, you saw it, and it can be kind of scary, especially in a crowded team.
A little bit more risk there for Demaryius.
Yeah, and the scheme isn't built for any one particular player to do really well. It can be Emmanuel Sanders having 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, and Demaryius Thomas having 20, or the other way around. And I don't know. There's a few guys behind him that I would take that are going to be more consistent. Demaryius has a lot of big play potential, but I think there's a few guys that are going to get maybe 7 or 8 catches.
Yeah, those are. I'm looking at the list right now, and there's a lot of good
tough
receivers. Decisions, because I still think Calvin. You could take him number 2, I think, over. I'd still potentially think about taking Calvin over Demaryius. I'd think about taking Jordy over. Yeah, there's a lot of.
There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of flexibility.
Wow.
And at 3 we got Des Bryant. He just restructured his deal. I could see a situation where that might cause a problem, that he got paid, and if they're not doing well, he's going to be a head case on the team. Might be more detrimental than influential.
He's a little bit of a diva.
Yeah,
for sure.
And sometimes it's great to see when his team's losing and he's yelling at guys, trying to get them motivated to get back out on the field, but sometimes it can come off wrong. And I don't think he's smart enough to realize situations when he should just shut up. Going down to number 4, I am mad.
Well, we don't have to worry about it. He's gonna get kept by Jim,
I am absolutely mad that I didn't pick up Odell Beckham Jr. last year.
Isn't everybody else?
Yeah, he is so good, and the only unfortunate thing is that he's paired with Eli Manning.
Yeah,
you saw Victor Cruz, a perennial for 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4, maybe? Yeah. I'd say probably 3 years, top 10 receiver. Even last year, he was supposed to be really good.
It's injury stuff,
Injuries, but a lot of it, and a lot of times was not because of his own talent. It's because of Eli Manning's lack of talent.
Never been a big Eli fan ever.
So
Always.
I think the only thing that's going to hold Odell Beckham Jr. back this year is Eli. Their run game isn't as strong as it has been in years past. They had Brandon Jacobs for a long time, and Ahmad Bradshaw. I think they're trying new guys out. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. He could easily be the number one receiver by the end of the year, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see him down at 10, and not because of his own doing.
I know I'm going to sound crazy by saying this because everyone is like crazy about Odell, but again, my big thing is track record. Yes, he had a great season. Yes, the potential is there for him to be a superstar, but there's not as much of a track record as with a Jordy Nelson, a Calvin Johnson, a Demaryius Thomas.
I think receivers are different though.
That is true.
I think that definitely holds true, especially for running backs and potentially quarterbacks, because quarterbacks can be a product of the system. And
Madden curse though.
Like I don't know if I'd feel good about taking like Odell over
that Madden
curse. Like Calvin. Like I don't know if I could do it.
I would do it, but yeah, no, I get it and I understand.
I'm not taking him because that Madden.
Unfortunately, we don't have to worry about.
So he's on Madden. Odell. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ooh, there's another risk potential right there.
Don't pay attention
Madden
to
curse.
That. No. 5, Jordy Nelson.
Ooh, my boy.
Always good.
Yeah.
Scores touchdowns. For some reason, you'll see him like 50 yards down the field, like grilling, barbecuing, sitting down in a lounger, and then 5 seconds later, Aaron Rodgers will throw the ball to him, and no one's been within 15 yards of him the entire time. He's a big play guy. He's also a large production guy. He gets
only white receiver. In the
I was
top
about
10,
to say that. I was about to say the only white man in the white tent.
So he's got to represent. Got to represent strong.
Next,
it helps that you're with Aaron Rodgers, but
next guy, Julio Jones,
gets the yards, not the TDs.
Again, I'd take Calvin or AJ Green over him. I think in a heartbeat, just because of the injuries.
Yeah.
And Matt Ryan's been so up and down too. I don't know. I think I would take.
I'd be a little wary of Calvin Johnson. I think he's put a lot of miles onto his body. I'd probably take Julio over Calvin Johnson.
Really?
Bull crap.
I don't know. I wouldn't.
But that's besides the point. AJ Green down at 8. Obviously,
Dalton
very
holds him
talented.
back a little bit, but
yeah, a little bit.
He's
but
still a stud muffin.
He is.
I mean, we've mentioned both Cincinnati running backs already. I mean, that could open up the receiving game a lot.
Dalton could just be just a little better. They could win it.
Yeah, and AJ Green could be a top 5 receiver if the Bengals end up doing and having a good offensive year. He's the guy there. There's not really many other people to throw to. Jermaine Gresham's gone. They have young tight end. I forget his name, but
blanking.
Yeah, I can't think of it, but he's the go-to guy there. Number 9, now the go-to guy in Chicago, Alshon Jeffrey. I've liked him. I've had him on a couple teams.
He's a stud.
The past couple of years. Yeah, no, he's a stud. Ridiculous hands, maybe the best in
I'd
the
consider
league.
taking him over Julio. I consider it. Just saying.
I don't trust Cutler, but
outside the box.
Yeah. Also, Chicago got a rookie in Kevin White. I don't know how Kevin White's going to perform, but if rookie wide receiver
could hurt, right? Could help him, could open up more looks, or he could take away looks.
Yeah, so we'll see. Alshon Jeffrey is obviously a very good talent, very skilled, has really good hands. If Jay Cutler can get him the ball, even double coverage sometimes, he can get you those 40, 50 plus touchdowns.
Hoping that Cutler, because I know that there's been some stuff going on in the offseason where he's finally kind of, I don't know, there's changed a little bit. What I've heard, he's more, put the word on, but more like, I guess, humble and realizing that he didn't even have a chance for like a starting, but like he has to earn, so maybe, now's the time for Jay. Maybe Jay can finally reach his potential.
I thought he had potential to do that last year, but nothing. He did the same thing that he's always done.
I'm rooting for you, Jay. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Next guy, another Green Bay receiver.
Randall Cobb, baby.
Randall Cobb.
Again, if you're in a PPR,
good.
You can go up a little bit more.
Green Bay throws a lot. Randall Cobb has the potential to score a couple touchdowns in a game easily.
Although last year he was a little bit, because I drafted him last year, but I ended up trading him because he was a little bit not as consistent I would like because he was a little bit touchdown dependent.
Yeah.
There's a couple games where you had 2 touchdowns a game, but then there's some games where no touchdown and then you'd get like under 10 points. So I ended up trading him just for like a little bit more consistency.
Yeah, and as a general concept, even if a guy in a previous year caught a lot of touchdowns but not a lot of yards, be wary of that. And same on the reverse. If a guy gets a lot of yards and not a lot of touchdowns, be happy about that. Because if he's getting the yards and getting the touches and
the touchdowns will come.
Yeah, the touchdowns will come as a result of that, especially as new players come in, old players leave, that kind of stuff, and systems shuffle around. Number 11, T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. All right, so I have a question for you guys.
Yep.
Obviously, I need a keeper, right? I picked up Kelvin Benjamin, right?
Yep.
I also drafted T.Y., I think in the 6th round. I'm guessing 6th or 7th. I can't remember. So do I keep T.Y. in the 6th or 7th round, or do I keep Kelvin in the 10th?
Why would I advise you? We're in the same league, fool.
You know, come on, we're friends, right?
I think Tim's gonna end up at the decision that he's gonna keep Kelvin Benjamin in the 10th, just because getting anybody that Kelvin Benjamin is here at 14 on our list for ESPN. Getting a top 14 guy in the 10th round. I mean that's
good. I mean they have Andre Johnson there.
It's just now, like I was saying earlier. They have a very crowded team though.
Man,
gosh, decisions, Tim.
Brian just persuaded me right now. He just anything you say to me, I'm gonna believe him. Just anything you want.
Well, and speaking of keepers, my keeper here at number 12, Mr. Mike Evans, drafted him in the 13th round. Ended up dropping him early in the season. And our commissioner Troy picked him up, and right before that 200+ yard 3 touchdown game, I believe it was, I traded back for him.
And it's just impeccable
thank
timing.
You
have impeccable timing.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
Round?
Thank you. And so I will get Mike Evans in the 10th round.
You got Jamal Charles in that trade too.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Thanks, Troy. Mike Evans. Hopefully, Jameis Winston will do good. I mentioned that the pair of them are young. I plan on keeping Mike Evans unless I get someone else that's better this year in the draft, late in the draft. I would keep Mike Evans for as long as I can. We haven't exactly specified how many years our keeper system is, but I imagine I'll only be able to get him for this year and next year. At least I think that's how keepers should go. You shouldn't get them for more than 2 years, just because at some point it's like, all right, that's kind of ridiculous. But
if I got to keep Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, and Mike Evans at 12. There's wide receivers are a dime.
He's got a new quarterback.
You got a lot.
And he's, like Tim says, coming off his rookie season.
I don't know. There's potential for him to.
Right?
There's potential for him to be really good, and there's also potential for him not to be bad, because he's a good receiver, tall receiver, 6'5". Bigger than most cornerbacks and safeties that are going to cover him, but he's not going to be bad. But again,
question is how
is the system?
Winston,
is the system and the quarterback going to be able to contribute to him being a top 15 receiver? We'll see.
He did produce with some pretty crappy quarterbacks, so
yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders, I'd take Emmanuel over Mike just because you kind of know it's going to be there. Whereas Mike, Emmanuel Sanders is right under him at 13. He had a slow start last year, but picked it up and ended up doing really well. I actually last year drafted Emmanuel Sanders, I think in the 8th round, but he ended up not being on my team. If I was going to get him in the 8th round again through a keeper system, I would take him in the 8th round over Mike Evans in the 10th. Just because once you get down into those late single digit and double digit rounds, you're kind of shooting in a barrel. A lot of those, at least for me with my draft strategy, are going to be receivers, because aside from maybe backup running backs for my starters, there's a lot of receivers that are going to put up 8 points maybe, whereas with running backs you're going to get maybe 15 of them that do it, and then after that it drops off immensely. But with receivers you could have 25 guys that are putting up 8 points a game, and so right. It's very very plentiful position.
Yeah,
very
and
surplus.
that is partly due to the fact that this has become such a pass happy league. There's just numbers to go around. Like even guys that aren't necessarily super great we'll skip 14 because that's Kelvin Benjamin. We kind of touched on him. Guys that's not super great but put up some numbers. DeAndre Jordan.
Wrong fantasy.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. I think he wasn't that great. He was kind of not exactly the go-to guy because they had Andre Johnson, but he's good enough.
He's gonna be the guy now.
Yeah, he's
the quarterback.
He's going to be the
That's
guy,
my
but
question.
yeah, who's the quarterback guy? You don't know. Whoever it is. Yeah. I wouldn't draft DeAndre Hopkins as the 15th highest receiver.
And I'd definitely take like Brandon Cooks right under him. I'd take Brandon Cooks over just because you have an established quarterback.
I'm obviously a huge Saints fan. I've never been too fond of selecting a Saints receiver just because I want the entire team to do well, and I don't necessarily, unless it's Breeze, I don't necessarily like having particular Saints players on my team. I guess Breeze and Jimmy Graham, but New Orleans receivers are always going to be sort of inconsistent at times, just because sometimes it's just not their week to get the ball, depending on matchups against the defense and how the game's flowing. Drew is going to kind of move people around where he needs them to and get people the touches that are going to let them win, not necessarily just because they're there. Dropping down to 17, I'd probably take this guy over Cooks and Hopkins.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Jordan Matthews.
I mean, again, very little track record.
But
that offense,
yeah,
they need someone to throw the ball to.
They have so many opportunities because they throw the ball every 2 seconds, it seems like, or run a play every 2 seconds.
There's going to be lots of opportunities for Jordan.
Yeah,
Matthews.
and if Sam Bradford can stay healthy, I was saying Sam Bradford is a good quarterback. He hasn't had the opportunities to show it because of his injuries, but if he can stay healthy,
maybe in that system because they get the ball out so fast, and they run because he's so scared when he's in the pocket because he just when I watched Sam Bradford when he was at Oklahoma and he barely got touched. He would get to stand there literally 5, 6, just boom, picking his targets. As soon as he got to the NFL, he was getting he didn't have that time that he had when he was in Oklahoma, and the injuries. Maybe with the system they get the ball out fast, the schemes they run, maybe that'll help him to not be so scared in the pocket.
Low risk, not kind of low reward. Julian Edelman at 18.
No upside whatsoever.
Yeah, I think there's guys lower I'd take Sammy Watkins. I'd take Keenan Allen over him.
Yeah, I mean Edelman will see
I'd take Amari Cooper
his
over
balls
him.
thrown to him.
No upside. That's a tough.
Yeah,
unless you're in a PPR, then maybe.
Yeah, if you're in a PPR,
talking,
potentially, because he has the potential to get 12 catches in a game. Like Tim was saying, Sammy Watkins, another one of those.
It's all about track record
rookies.
and upside. I think are my two biggest things. Do they have the track record? Do they
you want to bring a little more insight into our conversations, or do you want to just keep saying track record over and over?
I don't know.
Again?
I just really love saying those words. Track record.
All right, Keenan Allen. Another young receiver in San Diego, paired with Phillip Rivers.
Not a very long track record.
No, but I mean, he's put up numbers in the past. He was supposed to do better than he did last year. Maybe this will be the year that he kind of breaks out again. Maybe he's had a little bit more time to develop. Maybe did a little bit of work with Phillip in the offseason. Who knows? Deshaun Jackson, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
The whole Washington Redskins offense is toxic. I might be eating my words if Robert Griffin stays healthy. And
what happened to that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that knee injury rattled him too hard.
The whole running quarterback thing lasted about a season, and then everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it's not going to work anymore."
Yeah, well, that when they were pushing for no reason, and he ended up getting way more hurt than he was before. I think that kind of
he's got those Subway commercials,
Whatever. Yeah, he's making money somehow. Another guy that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, Vincent Jackson at 22.
That's a tough one.
He's from Tampa Bay. Hopefully he doesn't impede on Mike Evans.
I like the better when he was on San Diego.
Yeah. I just don't. I
like Golden Tate over there. 24. Tate? I think he could. You could take him over a couple of those guys.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
especially Deshaun and Vince. I'd take him.
I would take.
He's number 2, but
Golden
he gets a lot
Tate.
of looks because that offense with the Lions. I mean, they just throw the ball.
Yeah, and they don't have exactly a good running back in Detroit now. I mean, they had Reggie Bush. He didn't really contribute that much last year, but he's gone. So I mean, I think Golden Tate is going to have a few opportunities, and even when he did last year have opportunities, he did well. So I would take a guy like him over Vincent Jackson. Got a rookie, Amari Cooper at 23.
I mean, apparently supposed to be the real deal.
Yeah.
That upside, Tim.
That upside.
upside.
Track record.
No track record.
But upside, though.
But upside. I mean...
The quarterback, though...
In 3 years, Amari
Hey,
Cooper might be a good pick. I don't know if he's going to have very many opportunities. Keeper league, maybe draft Amari Cooper late if he's still there. I think he's projected higher than he should be at 23.
I think he's okay because the other guys around him are guys who are either
Old,
really young, or guys who don't like Brandon Marshall. I mean, with the Jets, that offense.
Brandon Marshall,
Kevin
dropped last
White,
year.
mystery. Mike Wallace has never really reached his potential. There's a lot of guys in that range that. I mean, Brandon LaFell.
You're down into
of,
potential for a wide receiver too, with a lot more.
I'd rather have the
potential
upside, using that word again, of a guy like Cooper than
Coops?
some of these guys like Marshall or Decker or LaFell, who I kind of already know what I'm getting. You know,
Yeah.
Whereas Cooper could.
Well, and I mean, like I said, there's a lot of young guys in Oakland, so
Would you take a chance on a guy like Kevin White?
Yeah, why not?
yeah. I mean, he could do Alshon Jeffrey numbers that Alshon Jeffrey was 2 years ago when he was with Marshall and no one really knew who he was, and then all of a sudden he burst onto the scene. Kevin White's a good receiver.
He's not going to be the number one, though. That's the thing. You know Cooper's going to be the number one for the Raiders.
Yeah,
I don't know if White's going to be number one.
I could potentially see a situation where the number 2 for Chicago is better than the number 1 for Oakland. But who's another guy?
Steer clear of Jeremy Maclin. I'm telling you, steer clear.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying steer. You just
do it.
I had Bo a couple times for Kansas City, and Bo's a good receiver. Like he's not chopped liver. He's a good receiver. Never got the ball.
All right.
Alex Smith doesn't know how to throw to receivers. So I don't get it.
I'm not gonna upsell Jeremy Maclin because I disagree with him, but I'd like to keep stuff under wraps. I gotta keep some secrets.
I mean, you can have
myself.
him. Like I said, I ain't touching him. I'm staying the heck away from that.
After that, I'm seeing some veterans.
Torrey Smith could have good value. Colin has a bounce back year,
which he's not. But I mean, there's a lot of veterans down at this list. Percy Harvin in Buffalo now. Good old Larry Fitzgerald. Sad to see him down at 41. Great guy, great wide receiver.
You never know if Carson stays healthy the whole year. Maybe he
could be top 20.
You never know.
I won't say he'll be a top 10, but I could see him in the top 20. He hasn't had a year like that in a while because of the quarterbacks he's had.
He should never have stayed.
Yeah.
Me and my brother were just like, please leave. Like, please leave to go somewhere with a good quarterback. Like, go to the Patriots or something, or go somewhere. But no, he stays with the Cardinals. They've had no quarterback for like 3-4 years. It's
another Pittsburgh guy that I think might have
potential wasted.
A good year. Martavis Bryant. He bust on the scene last year with like 7 touchdowns in like 4 games or something like that at the beginning.
Pretty touchdown dependent though, so
yeah. I mean, he wasn't getting a whole bunch of yards, but Antonio Brown was eating into that. So you might get yards from Antonio and touchdowns from Martavis. You never know. It could be a good 1-2 combination if you can get Martavis late.
You know what I'd do? Because they're not going to have Le'Veon first 3 games. Maybe if Martavis has a couple good games at the beginning, sell high.
Yeah.
As soon as you can, because once they get Le'Veon back,
he could be a potential guy that you can sell high. He might have a few good games at the beginning of the season just because of that Le'Veon Bell suspension. I agree. I mean, you keep scrolling down, you see young guy Devontae Adams, Green Bay, crowded.
Last year, a little crowded, but I mean, an injury will open things up, and even with 3 receivers, I mean, the Packers throw enough to where you could use them in a bye week, I think, situation.
I mean, we're getting down to, I see Victor Cruz. We mentioned him earlier. Giants. I don't think he's bad. I just don't see a lot of touches for him. Anquan Bolden in San Francisco could have a 100-yard game twice.
Terrence Williams had a solid year last year.
Terrence Williams for Dallas, and especially if Dez kind of decides to take the next 5 years off because of his new contract that he signed. You never know. Marquise Lee from Jacksonville could be the only guy that gets balls there. Was really good at USC.
What happened to the guy they drafted last year? Justin Blackman.
That was like
What
4
happened to
years
him?
ago, and he
No, it
got
wasn't. It was.
Yeah, it was.
He kept getting in
played last
trouble.
year,
No.
but he got like suspended for the year.
He's a
he-
troublemaker.
If he played last year, he played for like 2 games. He was like 4 years ago. At
It
least
wasn't that long.
it was
It was only a
it was
year or
3.
two at the most.
No.
Yeah.
No, because
I
he's
disagree.
No,
I
know
because I remember I had him last year. He was suspended for the whole year, but the year before that he played, and he was really good.
So that means he's been in the league for 3 years, at least. Because 2 years ago was in his
Right,
rookie
well-
season. So I said 3, and you were like, no, that's not right.
Well, we split that one.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting down. Pierre Garçon could be better than 59 if RG3 wants to throw the ball. I don't think Pierre Garçon should be.
Brian Quick has some potential.
Yeah,
He's shown flashes.
You got a piece of that man's jersey.
I do. I have the jersey card of Brian Quick. So when he hits it big and becomes a star, well, I'm going to sell that thing
For like $15.
Hey man, it's $15.
to the one Rams fan and
McDonald's meal or something.